reira, ngā huri whakatupuranga ko takahia mai nei, tēnei papaturanga huri hanga mātu atu purahe.
Before I introduce Matua Diaz, I just wanted to say a couple of things. This morning we started off our journey and we talked about Rangi Alwhia. And we talked about the commencement of the Waikato Wars, starting from when the Crown issued their proclamation in July 1863, saying that we had to swear allegiance to the Crown. If we didn't swear allegiance to the Crown, you were going to be evicted from your lands. Our people had 2 days to do that, and they didn't, because they only had 2 days. 12th of July, the Crown crossed over the Mangatawhiri stream and commenced the invasion of the Waikato. We then talked about how they came down through the Waikato, how they looked at attacking Patarangi Pa, but it was too fortified, and so they changed direction and they went to Rangi Alwhia, a peaceful village, a village where all the food was growing. Then he talked about setting that village on fire. And for us, that started our Waikato Wars, our New Zealand Wars. Then we travelled over to Orako. We heard the stories of our tupuna that fought and died there. You heard the story of Hine Turama. You heard the story of Te Pairata and all those others that fought there. They fought there because they were being invaded. From Orako, they then made their way south into the King Country or east. Hence we are now here at Tauranga. In particular, we are here at a place called Pukehinahina. And so Matua Diaz is going to talk about the events that happened around that time and what occurred and what happened to his whānau, to his people that fought here.
Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. How fitting your hikoe has been to come from where you've just come from and come here to Pukehinahina. That was the journey, and that was the beginning of our history around the battles with the British troops. Why did this battle happen here? If we go back to 1858, at the time of Potatau, and then Tawhia taking over the kingship. He went on a journey to all of our marae, our rohe, and talking to us about what should happen with the land. They had started what is known as the Land League, where he said, put your lands under me, under the king, and they'll never take it. So we saw that as being, because we had no one to turn to but ourselves. So the majority of Tauranga Moana put their lands under Tawhia. During that time, the gunboats had come through our harbour. If you look behind you back to Mega Mara 10 there, and where our cars are parked down there, there was a gate there. From there right back down to the sea, the land was bought by Reverend Brown from the Hahi Anglican. So it was a pact that we did as the people of the Tangata Pini o Tauranga back in early 1830s, and that was about this land. You teach us the paipera tapu, you teach us technology and educate us. But for every English farm or asset like that, they always have a gate at the back, hence the name Gate Pa. In the early 1820s, a big battle happened here. Te Morunga from Ngāpui came down and fought Tauranga Iwi. They killed up to 200. They chased 180 into the sea and made sure they never come back. And they took 150 with them as slaves to the north. While there, those ones that were born, and I'm talking about Rawiri Puhirake, Penetaka, Hakaraya. They grew up, and it just so happened in the early days of fighting up there with the British. So while there, and after their battles, Wiremu Karuwha said to Kawiti, you can't keep slaves and read in your paipara tapu. Release them. When they all come back, they started the pa. And they knew how it worked, because Rawiri Puhirake and them had already fought at Ruapekapeka. So they had a good understanding. And if you look at Ruapekapeka, their pa was taken in land north of Whangarei and in from the east. Kawiti took it in land to stop them from bringing the big guns. Kawiti told them, gave them advice, and says, whatever you do, if the guns are any bigger than what you think they are, then you must go deeper. Trenches went down at least 3 meters. That's deep. Went in, and they had foxholes. They built this palisades to look awesome from afar, but really, they wanted the palisades to fall down. So they had 1,700 men. They were the crack troops of the British forces. They were the best in the world at that time, and they were the most equipped. Our people made sure that the road was built wide enough to allow them to bring all their stuff up. This is the cunningness and the cleverness of our people. They had just come out of the Crimea. They beat everyone in the world at that time. They went into India and Ireland, and they were just cleaning up all over the world until they came here to New Zealand. Tauranga wasn't what you might call united. The cousins to Rawiri Puhirake brought the British troops around here, 7:45, and then the first shots came over. Te Wano, he was doing the karakia. Once he had got halfway through, the shots had come over and blew him in half. So the other, Ihakara, the Christian, he took over and he started his karakia, and his head was taken off. Rawiri Puhirake says, go back down, no one to move, no one to say anything until I say. And he's screaming at Cameron. He's screaming at Cameron. And he's telling him, carry out your works, carry out your works. Because when you come here, my trenches will be blocked by your dead. Cameron said to his men, take the pa. And as they were getting closer, one of the captains looked, and he could see what was there. It was nothing. So he turned around and went back to the tent and told Cameron, General, they're all dead, or they're all gone. Just as he said that, the whole pa erupted. 240 guns, they all fired at the one time. How can they hear Rawiri Puhirake saying fire? They had like manuka light, all latched together, and it went all the way through the pa. And he was at one end. And when he gave the signal, once the firing had stopped, they knew the troops were coming in. So as they were coming in, and he screamed and pulled at the same time. That caused confusion, heavy confusion. because in those times, the leaders, they used to lead the battle. Well, that's the last time they led the battle. So they ran. And that was the time General Cameron witnessed this crack troops of the British run. Never seen it before. The general, he walks back into the tent, he throws his spyglass down, and you can hear him sobbing in the tent. So 150 years on, we get to read it. And then the next morning, the British troops came in and took the pa. And when they took the pa, there was no one here. We had all gone. They set up an inquiry in Auckland. So there was a big court case. And who was on the stand was General Cameron. They asked him this and they asked him that, and he's forever saying everything, he blames himself. If I had done this, it would have been different. And when they talk about something else, he says the same and the same and the same. Not once did he attribute anything to these natives. You have to be an idiot to fight 1,700 crack men with the best weaponry out there, 240. You wouldn't go there and fight there. You'd be dead before you start. The lands in Tauranga had already started to be sold before the Battle of Gay Pa. The king was just an excuse to the British to take land. It was just an excuse. And we all paid for it.